First of all, Billy, from your knowledge, were any loyalists deemed on the run and offered any sort of letter of amnesty or anything like that?
Well, there was loyalists that was on the run, but we opposed anybody getting any letters. Our view was that people should be prosecuted under the legislation that went through for the Good Friday Agreement, and we said we wouldn't take part on it because we thought it was unjust. And the reason why we thought it was unjust was because British serving soldiers or past soldiers weren't actually in it or were loyalists, so we had said no, we wouldn't agree to this.
So from your perspective now, looking at the whole thing, I mean, was this something which was out there, people know about it, those in the political sphere were well aware of it, or do you accept the DUP's protestations that this is news to them?
Well, I mean, my understanding was, my recollection was there was discussions in 1999, and I think they were the first discussions that we started off, and then there was a number of discussions after that. We weren't involved in that. It was always the two biggest parties were involved, and they had the discussions with Sinn Féin. So we don't know what was agreed or wasn't agreed, but we were actually saying at that particular time that we would not support it on the basis that others wouldn't benefit from it. And I think that, according to the judges summing up yesterday, they said it was consolidated at St Andrews, so I don't know, I wasn't there. But the judge said that's what was consolidated.
Is there any impact or any implications for loyalism, the wider loyalist family, as a result of this, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that there is. I mean, for instance, a number of loyalists have been put back into prison because of HET, and I think that now what should happen is that all of those people should be released, because I think it's unjust that people who are on the run are allowed to remain free, and people who have already served life sentences and been taken back, and their loyalists have been taken back to prison to do another sentence after having served a life sentence. So for me, that's totally unjust. But the reality in all of this is that Republicans have got their own way. They've been given these immunity cards, 127 or whatever it is. And we had a man last week who escaped from the maze, in February, yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago, and he was done for drunk driving. He was fined £215, and the judge took pity on him because he only had 30. So he only took £15 off, and he allowed him to go back to the Republic of Ireland. It's totally ridiculous whenever we have loyalists who are being arrested for playing music outside a Catholic church and get 4 months, and here we have a man who escaped from the maze, can walk about, do whatever he wants, and then he can go and cause an offence here by actually drink driving it, and possibly not just killing himself, maybe killing somebody else, and he walks scot-free.
Some other people may draw the conclusion that there are those who are being sent to prison for lesser offences, yet here's a man who has been alleged or was a suspect in one of the worst atrocities of the Troubles in London, and has been given effective immunity from any form of investigation or prosecution.
Well, I mean, and that's our view, and that's why we would not get involved in discussions about on the runs. We said it wasn't right. Not only was we thought it was illegal, but we also thought it was immoral. I mean, our argument was all along, do not get involved in this, but somebody got involved in these talks, and I blame it on Blair, because I think that Blair and the Chief Constable set the tone around loyalists whenever Blair said he would look after Republicans and the Chief Constable would look after loyalists. And what they've been doing the whole way through this whole process is criminalising people like me, who isn't a criminal, by the way. I went to prison for political offences, but the point I'm making is that not just me, my community has been criminalised, and it continues to be criminalised even now, and we see that day and daily with the police and what they're doing around protests, and still with all, they've allowed these people. And the police need to take a lot of responsibility for this, because we do have a case, in this man's case that we were talking about yesterday, where the senior police officer took a decision not to tell people here and to tick the box to say that this man wasn't being sought after. He's being sought after by the Metropolitan Police, and the senior police officer decided not to report that.
So, in a nutshell, what would the mood be amongst the wider loyalist family because of these revelations?
Well, I can tell you how I feel. I feel like a third-class citizen once again. I feel angry. And what I am saying is, and I'm someone who went to prison, I'm saying that this was a total disgrace. So if you take my view, you can multiply it 1,000 or 100,000 times. People are totally angry, and what we see again is that for the last number of years, particularly the last 7 years, Republicans have got their way every time, and it seems to be everything they ask for they've got. Now, I know that people have been talking about this, and we've refused to get involved in these talks, and I'm sure other people had talked about it, but what they didn't probably realise was that there was 127 people on immunity cards.
Thank you very much.